Morning all, welcome to Diary of a Herbert. Well, here we are in the maintenance area of the boatyard, and we're here today because we've got some work to do on Herbs. The hatches on the tug deck are starting to really suffer from some rust, and also there's the mushroom vent that's over the galley that's leaking, so that needs attention. So got the two big bags of tools out, the Ryobi's, so time to get cracking. As you can see, the three hatches look a bit sorry for themselves. Now the brown streaks and the big black area, that's all fur tan that I put on the other day. Left it to do its work. The dew overnight, of course, has started to rinse off the fur tan, which is what you do normally anyway. So hence the staining, which all washes off with water. So it looks a lot worse than it is, but time to break out the stripper and get that paint off. Bring on the power tools. Right, unlike last time, I have proper protection. Eye protection, breathing protection. Let's have some fun. So that's the gas locker hatch and the hold hatch cleaned up. Now the gas locker I took all the way back to bare steel because it was the worst of the two, but the other one, the paint that I've left behind is actually got a good key. There's nothing underneath it, so in the best engineering tradition, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I've used the angle grinder to take it back to bare steel where it's need to have gone. As you can see, there's some little tracks about there. Now that was just chasing a pinprick of corrosion and it just kept going, but we've got it now, so it's all cleaned out. Like I say, the fur tan's been on it, and now it's ready for painting. It's had to go down with panel wipe, so there's no grease or dust or anything on it, so here we go. So this is the vent that's leaking in the kitchen, which is rather annoying when you're sort of doing the dishes and drips come through here and get on your head. So before we can do the outside and get that off, we've got to get this off, because up inside this hole is a nut that holds the mushroom onto the vent. So wish me luck. That's all there is to it. I think we safely could say that could do with a bit of oil. Now the fun bit, getting this thing off. So 4 screws. These ones over here and here, I think, where the rust is expanded, may have actually, I think they're brass screws, so I've got a feeling that's probably sheared. So let's try and clean the paint out of the heads. He said, more difficult than it looks, and then hope and pray head sheared off. This is going to be a bad day at the office. I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to have to drill out a shed load of screws. Something I did not want to do. Oh, please, come on. Oh yes, we've got one. That's a start. Brass screws. Ooh. That's nasty. Well, yep, that's absolute toast. Now, this one here and this one here came out okay. This was the first one I tried that sheared off, but hopefully there's enough of the screw remaining that I can get a pair of mole grips or something on it and drill it out and haul it out that way. This one looks like it's just a hole, and I have a horrible feeling that someone has just put a screw and glued it to the base of the mushroom vent. So hopefully I can at some point get another screw in there. Wish me luck. So that's 5 minutes with the stripping attachment and the angle grinder. As you can see, this area here is absolute toast. I've got a funny feeling I might have to get the actual grinding attachment on that. I don't even think a chisel will get that out, but we'll have a go. We'll see what happens next. Okay, so then, thankfully, this came out of this hole here, which is a good thing. So this came out with a pair of, I didn't even need mole grips actually, good old friends, pipe pliers. But this one is still stuck in here. If you put the punch on, it's probably, what, 1 or 2 millimeters down. So what I'm going to do is get a small drill. This is the stub of the one that's come out of here. And drill down the centre. It's only soft brass, which is good, and it's quite a fine thread. So the idea is to drill into this by about, I would say, 7 or 8 millimeters, because this is 5 millimeter thick steel. So what I need to do is drill down into this between 6 and 7, even 10 millimeters. Then get the punch on the top and smack the bejesus out of it. Being soft brass, the threads in this, or on what's left of the threads on this, will strip. This will drop out into the roof void under here, and then with a bit of luck I'll be able to use that screw again, no problem at all. See you in a bit. So there we go, having drilled down through the centre of what was remaining of the sheared screw and given it a calibrated tap with the knocking stick Grande, we now have a perfectly serviceable tapped hole, which will make life a lot easier. So now it's just a case of apply the good old Furtan once again, good old Furtan, great stuff, and leave that to do its stuff, and make sure then that this gets covered up. After that, I think it's a case of we'll try and dress this area here with some filler, probably some stopper, I would have thought, nice fine filler, and that'll restore the steel to the same level as all the rest. And then it's just a case of out with the paint again. Actually, this looks a little bit rough here, so we'll just bring that round to good metal. Good stuff, progress being made. So now I've got a great big hole in the roof. What am I going to do? Problem solved. So now that the primer's had a good chance to dry, it's had a very soft rub down with some 240 grit, just to get rid of the worst of the lumps and bumps. So it's then a quick case of quick going over with the panel wipe and on with the top coat. So that's the first coat done. So we shall leave that for a few hours to dry. The rate of the knots we're going at the moment though, because it's quite a warm day, I would have said this will be touch dry within an hour. And this is the mushroom vent above the galley. Now the Furtan's had its time to do its business, so that's now been all cleaned off, and it's also been degreased with panel wipe. So yes, looks a lot better. Time to get the first coat of primer on. I was going to fill in all the pitting around this area here, but we're going to try and repaint the roof next year. So to be perfectly honest, that can wait for the time being, because when it comes to painting the entire roof, then I'll flat everything back, then we'll break out the filler and do it that way. This is the first coat of Rattle Red on the vent. Now, as you can see, I've put the bradawl red further down inside to protect the edges of the steel. That was unprotected, so I think that might have been a contributory factor to the amount of corrosion that we had. So this is now going to sit for about 4 or 5 hours, and then we'll wait until this evening or later on this afternoon after the Formula 1 and put on a second coat and then leave that. And then this evening, the last thing this evening, we'll put the mushroom vent back on. Job's a good one. So that's that then. The only thing I've got to do now is wait for the paint to dry and screw the mushroom vent back on, and that's the boat all weatherproof again for the winter, which will be a good thing. So the paint job's not the best on the planet, but at the moment it'll suffice until next year. We're docking down the boat in Braunston for a hull blacking, so while we're also doing the hull, we'll do the tug deck, the roof as well, get that completely repainted, so rub down, get rid of all the rust. We'll take all the mushroom vents off, paint underneath them, treat any rust that we need to do. It's going to be a full-on week. It's going to be hard work, but that's what you get when you want to buy a boat. So I'll leave it at that. So look after yourselves, take care, please take care, look after yourselves. I really mean that every time, and I'll see you soon. So please, if you fancy, like, share and subscribe. I'll see you soon. All the best and keep smiling.